Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with college football picks for week 4 of the 2023 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please go to your channel. Really appreciate if you do that. We didn't come out with a pick video last week. Just couldn't get to it. I had a crazy schedule last week, a few anomalies. Nothing bad or anything, just things that really have never happened before, to me at least, to be pretty honest. As I said, nothing bad. So let's just get right into it. 9 games is going to be a really big week for college football. The AP top 25 has 6 top 25 games. We only go by my top 25 here at McD Sports 4 because that's the only top 25 that matters. So that's why you see these rankings here the way they are. So there's 5 top 25 games in my opinion this week. You look at the schedule; it's the games are in order from start to finish on Saturday. None of the weekday games on Thursday or Friday really interest me. But let's get right into it. Number 21, Oklahoma versus Cincinnati. This is on Big Noon kickoff, plus 14.5. Cincinnati's 14.5 point underdogs. Oklahoma's a really good. They've really been a great team this year. Oklahoma. Um, I mean, now granted, it's been mostly against inferior competition. You look at the SMU game. That's really the only real competition Oklahoma has faced, and they did struggle a little bit, but Oklahoma pulled away. The game was in SMU, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I think it might no, they were it was in Oklahoma. The Tulsa game was in Tulsa. I know they have every out conference game in Oklahoma. But anyways, first conference game facing Cincinnati on the road, big noon kickoff. I'm gonna go Cincinnati plus 14.5. Cincinnati's been impressive. They beat Pitt. Cincinnati did. I mean, they took care of business against their other two opponents. Cincinnati is a lot better than I think some people are giving them credit for coming into the season. I was not very high on them. Um, but I think Oklahoma wins the game at the end, but give me Cincinnati plus 14.5. I definitely think this is going to be a 14-point game at most. So give me Cincinnati plus 14.5. Next game, number 5, Florida State versus number 25, Clemson. This is noon on ABC. Clemson, number 25, Clemson is a 2.5 point dog at home. And I just gotta be honest, I'm taking Florida minus 2.5. The reason why is I just think Florida State is a much better team. I get that Clemson had a great game against FAU, which surprised me a little bit. I thought that FAU could, I believe the spread was like 24 points. I thought FAU would at least cover that. But Florida State, they were clearly looking ahead late in that game last week against Boston College. That's why Boston College came back against Florida State, in my opinion, for the most part. I do expect Florida State to win this game. I'm going to have them covering the 2.5. They are the better team, so go ahead, give me Florida State minus 2.5. Next game, number 15 Ole Miss versus number 18 Alabama. Alabama's 7 point favorites at home. I'm just going to be honest. I think Ole Miss wins the game outright. Ole Miss is underrated this year. From what I have seen from Ole Miss, they could win the SEC West this year. Ole Miss, from what I have seen. Um, Alabama. This is going to be the worst team under Nick Saban since probably at least 2010. Probably worse than that team, honestly. Um, and really just comes down to quarterback. They are in a transition year at quarterback. That's why they brought in the transfer from Notre Dame, Tyler Buckner. It hasn't worked out. Jalen Monroe is probably the guy they should go with. But it doesn't look good. I shouldn't say he doesn't look good. He looks like he's a year away. That's what he looks like. Alabama, they have the talent to beat any team in the country. It really depends on Jalen Monroe if he plays well. I think Lane Kiffin finally gets a win against Saban. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and take Ole Miss plus 7. I think Ole Miss wins the game outright. Next game, number 24 Colorado versus number 6 Oregon. Uh, this game is 3:30 on ABC. Oregon is a 21-point favorite at home. That's right, a 21-point favorite. I like Oregon to win and cover here. Colorado, I think you saw some cracks last week against Colorado State. You tell me it was an in-state game, a in-state rivalry. You tell me that they were looking ahead to this Oregon and Southern Cal next week. I'm just gonna be honest with saying this. I think that had more to do with what Colorado really is. They face a TCU team that's not gonna be that good this year. Got kind of lucky. They face a Nebraska team that's really not good this year, and a game that I said in the preseason that Colorado that was gonna be the big win of the season. Um, I mean, I'm really high on Oregon this year, and I'll admit that. But from what I've seen from Oregon, this game, Oregon's gonna hang 50 on Colorado. I hope people realize that. This game's gonna be something like 52-24 Oregon, something like that, because you look at Colorado, they're gonna score some points. Don't get me wrong. Travis Hunter, he's gonna be out for a few weeks after taking that dirty hit. Um, Travis Hunter is the best player on Colorado. I just like Oregon minus 21. Uh, um, I think Oregon wins the game, and I think they cover. Go ahead. I think they're the much better team. Oregon minus 21 winning cover. Next game, UCLA versus number 9 Utah. In the AP poll, this game is number 22 versus number 11. I did not rank UCLA because personally, I'm not impressed with their resume. Utah is a 4.5 point favorite at home. That's because they don't have Cam Rising. I honestly don't know if he's coming back this week. If he does, Utah definitely wins and covers, in my opinion. I still think Utah wins and covers here. I'm just not really impressed with UCLA. Wouldn't surprise me if UCLA actually comes into Salt Lake City and wins the game, but I gotta go Utah minus 4.5 here. I feel like I wish it was more like 3.5 or 2.5 really, but go ahead, give me Utah minus 4.5. Number 9 Utah. Next game, number 12 Oregon State versus Washington State. Big rivalry game here. Washington State. If this was if my poll was a top 26, Washington State would be number 26. So Washington State 2.5 point dogs at home. I'm just gonna be honest. I gotta go Oregon State here. Oregon State to me is just a much better team. Nothing against Washington State would not surprise me if Washington State wins this game. It's at home. It's a tough place to play there at Moreland Stadium, but Oregon State is just much better. This is gonna be a low-scoring affair in my opinion, but I'm gonna take Oregon State minus 2.5. Washington State, in my opinion, I don't think can really compete with some of these Big 12 teams. I think you're going to see a physical team like Oregon State. Not saying Washington State's not physical because they are, but you're going to see Oregon State, I think, get the better of them, get the win, and cover the 2.5 point spread. Next game of the week, in my opinion. Number 7 Ohio State versus number 8 Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 3 point dog. This game is 7:30 on NBC. I'm taking Notre Dame to win the game outright, so I'm going to take Notre Dame plus 3. I believe I got the number when I betted it earlier this week at Notre Dame plus 3.5. So the public's moving towards Notre Dame in this one. The question for me, listen, Ohio State fans, I know what they're going to say. We looked great against Western Kentucky, and they did. I can't deny that. But look at who you were facing. Not a shot at Western Kentucky, but the playing styles. Western Kentucky likes running up the score. Ohio State is kind of a team that likes running up the score. They're not a physical team, Ohio State, and it really showed. It showed against Youngstown State, to be honest with you. I forget and it showed against Indiana. Notre Dame's a physical team. Yeah, they have Sam Hartman at quarterback. They're still a physical team. Notre Dame's going to win the game. It's in South Bend. They'll get the win. I like Notre Dame plus 3. Two more games here. Number 13, Iowa versus number 4, Penn State. Penn State is a 14.5 point favorite at home. This is the whiteout game on CBS 7:30 at night. Whiteout game here for Penn State. I'm just going to come out and say right now, do I think Penn State wins the game? Yes. 14.5 is way too much in this game, in my opinion. I gotta take Iowa plus 14.5 here. And not saying Penn State can win the game by 2 possessions, but I mean, this is gonna be a low scoring game. I would take the under in this game as well. And And in my opinion, I look at this game. I think this game is probably something like 23-13 Penn State, something like that. If you want my honest opinion, maybe even something a little bit less of a margin than that. This game is gonna be a physical game. It's gonna be a low scoring defensive affair. I gotta take Iowa plus 14.5 here, just on principle. So nothing against Penn State. I still think Penn State wins the game, but give me Iowa plus 14.5. And then the final game, UCF versus number 20 Kansas State. Kansas State is a 5.5 point favorite. This is a game, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a toss up. I'm going to guess that Kansas State comes back in a big way, and they're going to win and cover here against UCF. Nothing against UCF. I still think UCF is on track to have a pretty good year in their first season in the Big 12. But I got to think Kansas State, after the way they lost last week, and how good I think they are, I think they're gonna come back with revengeance in a big way. Give me Kansas State minus 5.5. So those are the picks for Week 4 of college football. Comment down below. Tell me your picks. Tell me games that you're interested in. I only pick the top 25 games and games I'm interested in, or games that the AP has in the top 25, like for instance UCLA and Utah. Even though that game does interest me. Same thing with Oregon State and Washington State. I mean, the AP has 3 games in the top 25, 3 top 25 games in the Pac-12 alone. I mean, that is insane. It sucks that the Pac-12 is dissolving after this season, doesn't it? But comment down below. Tell me what you think. We'll have the NFL video out tomorrow. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast signing off.